BRB Network TV with Brian Herzog.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of BRB Network TV, the Baton Rouge Business Network. I'm your host for today's show, Brian Herzog. In studio, we have two amazing individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Craig Gehring, and also we have Mrs. Bobby Clark. Mrs. Bobby Clark in studio again. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
How's it feel to be back on TV, Bobby?
Well, I love TV.
I know you do.
It always feels good.
Today's edition, we're talking about ACT Prep Camp. ACT Prep Camp. This, you know, you got all kind of camps. You've got this workout camp to lose weight. You know, you got all kinds of camps to whip yourself into shape. Is that what's going on, Craig? Is that what's going on right now?
You're exactly right. That's why we picked the word camp, is because in a very short span of time, we take kids and we boost their score as much as possible on the ACT.
Right. You know, in a place like a state like Louisiana, this should be a place where pure excitement should take place. Would you agree, Bobby?
I agree. Everywhere we go and we talk about having the ACT prep camps, they're like, when are you starting? Where's it going to be? So the excitement is there, and folks are really thankful to us that we're able to provide to them somewhere where their kids can come and get preparation for the ACT, for the ACT exam.
Right,
yes.
Absolutely. And again, I think that a program like this in the state of Louisiana, which has been known nationally, has suffered challenges with regard to education. This absolutely has to be something, an eye-opener for people. How is it that how is it that a person could get their students or themselves enrolled in this particular camp?
Well, we have a website, actprepcamp.com. The first camp that we're running starts September 15th at the Catholic Life Center. It runs for 6 consecutive Saturdays, so they run 9 to 2 every Saturday for 6 weeks. The ACT, there is a lot of excitement about it because it's a high stakes test. Right. In Louisiana,
it's a game changer test.
Total game changer. You have to score a 20 on the ACT to qualify for TOPS, which pays full scholarship to anybody in Louisiana going to a Louisiana university. So if you have a 19, you get no scholarship. Right. If you get a 20 and have a 2.5 GPA, you're eligible for full scholarship, which is equivalent to anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 scholarship or more. So, you know, these kids on the borderline who scored a 17, 18, or 19, or who have no idea what they're going to score, they have an absolute necessity to score as well as they can. Okay.
And then, you know, and we must say here too, folks, because we have a gentleman that's here that's actually made a 100. Now, Craig, you've actually made a 100 on this particular test, right?
Yeah, I made a perfect score on the ACT and the SAT. ACT goes up to 36. And so I got a 36 out of 36, and then the SAT's on a 1600 scale.
And then you are the individual that's actually writing the curriculum for this boot camp.
Yes, so we developed, I wrote a book, SAT, ACT Mastery, which is available now in Barnes & Noble. And I also have developed a series of workbooks. Mm-hmm. So one thing that's very unique about this camp is that in addition to the instruction time with certified teachers that the kids get and the real ACT test that they're going to take, you know, for practice, they also get to work through the workbooks throughout the week, one for each subject that's taken up on the ACT.
Right, and you know, and I said boot camp, you know, but of course, you know, we're talking about ACT prep camp, but I can't help but just make a mistake and say that. It's because it's got that kind of energy. And Bobby, I've seen you on fire with this, and you know, obviously you're on all the major stations right now, letting folks know what's going on. You know, your particular organization, Applied Literacy and Learning, you've always been, and you're known as a person giving back to the community, building in the area of education. Why to you is this such a great energy rouser for you right now?
It changes lives. A child who gets that GPA 2.5 and the 20 gets TOPS, that means that it can totally change their lives. They keep the grades up while they're in school. That means all of that education is paid for, as well as once they receive a degree, then they know that they're going to walk out and they're able to get a job. It changes Louisiana, because as we're able to get more of our students who are completing college, then that means hopefully they stay here, and also also more jobs can come to Louisiana because we will have the students or the personnel that will be able to fill those jobs.
Right. Well, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with more ACT Prep Camp. More information that you need to know after the break. All right.
BRB Network TV with Brian Herzog.
Welcome back to this edition of BRB Network TV, a very special edition in the area of education. Once again, BRB Network TV highlights initiatives that give back to our community in the area of education. Right now, we're talking about ACT Prep. We have Craig Guerin in studio along with Bobby Clark, ACT Prep. You guys are coming right at it, jumping right at the jugular, if you will, of Louisiana in terms of turning it around, getting our students educated, getting them prepared for the ACT prep. Well, at least we're prepping for the ACT.
Yes.
Craig, now, you know, there's a lot of information. You guys the publicity is skyrocketing all over the place. There's tons of information out there. And I know sometimes that tons of information could also be a little intimidating. There are parents out there that really, truly want to know right now, they just need a little extra spark. What is it that they can really get out of this program?
Well, you know, one of the things that a child can do, the ACT is a marathon test. It's really a rough test. It's probably the longest test that a child is going to take. It's over 3 hours long, not including the breaks,
Wow.
just actual reading questions and answering them. And it covers everything from what the child's learned in 6th grade and earlier all the way up to their junior and senior year in high school. So if your kid is very smart and getting great grades, that doesn't mean that he or she is prepared for the ACT. So we've developed a very thorough program run by certified teachers who specialize in the areas of reading, writing, English, science, math, everything that's tested on the ACT, assisted by tutors so that we have a small classroom setting. We have one instructor per 8 students is the teacher-to-student ratio. And we have a series of workbooks that the students get upon enrollment that they work through every single day. And we focus on the questions that they're most likely to miss, right, and the questions that they can learn very easily.
Right. I mean, to me, from what you're saying, you know, and it's really enlightening me in a major way, because I'm thinking of this like this test is like a marathon. Mm-hmm. And basically what you're saying is, you know, your kid could be sharp, your kid could be very smart, but here's a marathon. I don't care how talented you are, a person that has that talent that's going to enter something like this has to have training.
Yes.
If you enter into the Olympics in a particular marathon, don't have the proper training, talent's not going to be it. It's not going to get it, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why we prepare. We even administer 3 actual ACT tests that were delivered by the ACT administration company before. So the student, by the end of our camp, right, they've done 3 actual tests. So they know the timing, they know how long it takes, they've got more endurance. I mean, that's a great comparison to the marathon.
Well, that's what we do. We compare here.
Well, that's a perfect comparison. We're going to use that from now on.
Well, good. Just make sure you drop my royalty check in the mail.
Yes.
Bobby, you know, you've been an innovator. I know that you have a major part in this. Your reputation and your history with applied literacy and learning. Tell me, what are some of the similarities in this with your program that you've been running, or the various programs? And if possible, what are some of the things possibly maybe different in this particular one?
Well, to deal with some of the similarities, when we're working with the students in the ACT prep camp, if they are missing some of the questions on the test, then we will group them together. We'll have a certified teacher and 2 tutors in each of our classes. So basically, if they're in math and these students are missing the same types of questions in the math, then we'll group them together so that we can clarify where their weakness is. and so that they'll better understand, and when they go back to take it again, then they will understand just how to work these problems.
Okay.
So that's a similarity. Now, one of the things we do as far as applied literacy and learning is we repair academic deficiencies.
Right.
Many of our children get lost. A certain percentage of the kids, let's say, of the students in school, they get it when the
Right.
teacher is giving the instructions.
Right.
But there are few who may not. Well, what we do, we find out where that child first got lost.
Right.
And we go back and we repair those deficiencies. Same thing here. We find out where that deficiency is and we hone in so that we can get this child up to the point that he or she is getting towards that 20 and above. Because we have telephone calls now from students who are saying, I made a 21, but I want a 30.
That's right.
And so, of course, the more, the higher their score, then the greater amount of money going along with that GPA, the greater amount of money that's available to them for college.
That's right. One of the most popular, probably more known, more publicized initiative, Bobby, that you have is been the Applied Literacy and Learning Program inside of the EBR school systems. Some of the experiences that you've gathered through some of your teachers in this particular environment, do you think some of this experience kind of helped formulate some of these ideas of putting together such a great initiative?
Well, absolutely. Craig is on the board of directors for Applied Literacy and Learning. So we've worked together since 2008, and our goal always is to make a difference in the community, to make it so that our children receive challenges, but they have somewhere to come to that will assist them in answering all of those questions, helping parents to know, or have parents to know that they can come to Applied Literacy and Learning and get help for their children so these children can move on. It's usually not a lot that needs to be done with them. It's just that they've got this hole in their education.
Right.
And so what we do is we fill it.
Right. It sounds like to me, sometimes it's just giving it a good try. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a little bit further into how this can be of service to you and your students, your kids, in addition to how you can be a part of this. What is the process? Stay tuned. We'll be back with more BRB Network TV. The ACT Prep Camp is the subject for today's show. Stay tuned.
BRB Network TV with Brian Herzog.
Okay, thank you for coming back to us. The final segment of BRB Network TV. The ACT Prep Camp is the subject for today. Education, again, the spotlight of today's show. Again, we have Craig Garing in studio, in addition to Bobby Clark in studio, the head pushers, the initiative rock and rollers of this particular program. Craig, you know, go ahead and give what is it that the folks need to know, again, so that they can get going immediately with this?
Well, the first thing they need to know is that we're very strict about the class size, and so
Right.
because of that, you know, we're doing enrollments on a first come first served basis. So it's very important that if you want to get your child in the camp, you've got to contact us as soon as possible. You can go on our website, actprepcamp.com, which, in addition to having a ton of resources about the ACT and TOPS eligibility information and parent resources and student resources, there's a place where you can apply online to reserve your spot. You can also call directly into our center at 1-855-5-PREP-ACT, and we'll be able to help you from there and get you into a slot. The first camp that we're having is September 15th. It runs for 6 Saturdays at the Catholic Life Center, and it starts at 9 a.m. It goes from 9 to 2 every Saturday for 6 weeks.
So this is not something that someone has to look at and think they've got to go through 2 or 3 years or even a year to get done. This is something that they can consolidate, put their time together, get this under their belt, so that potentially before their very next ACT test, they can be prepared.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. We do everything we can to prepare them.
Bobby, is there anything you'd like to add about this program?
I'd like to make sure the parents understand we are instructing in the math, science, English, reading, and writing. In each of our classes, we have a certified teacher as well as 2 tutors, so that the children are able, or the students are able to get that individualized attention that they need. And we have several camps. So they'll be, and they can enroll in this camp, which starts on the 15th, but there will be other camps, and each camp is for 6 weeks. So there's 6 Saturdays for each camp. Each camp will run from 9 to 2. And we encourage everyone, especially, I'd like to say, Brian, for the seniors who have not taken the ACT, you want to be in the first camp. For those who have taken the ACT and did not score at least a 20, you want to be in the first camp. Now, our camp is open to students from the 6th grade to the 12th grade. We want students to start to experience the ACT early enough so that they will become comfortable with taking the test.
Right. You know, there's a lot of folks all over the country talking about different problems and areas in the area of education, you know, but what we're talking about here is a proactive approach, doing something about it versus just sitting back and talking about it. And I think that is extremely important. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, that's 855-577-3722. That's 855-5 Prep Camp, correct?
Prep ACT.
Prep ACT. That's 855-577-3722. That's www.actprepcamp.com. Once again, that's www.actprepcamp.com. Check it out online, see if you can register, get in touch with these people so that you can get your folks in the place to be so that they can be prepared during these particular rough times when it comes to test taking, that is, you know. There's a lot of kids out there that, you know, like we talked about, that they've got the skills, they learn fast. And Bobby, you know, we've talked numerous times on shows about kids memorizing.
Yes. Right?
And a lot of parents don't really realize that their kids are memorizing information versus really learning. And what happens is, like this ACT test comes up, and all of a sudden the spotlight really gets put on that student, and then the parents like, I don't understand. My kids have made these great grades. This doesn't make any sense. Could you explain that process to the folks so that they can understand that what they see might not be necessarily what they think they see?
Well, our children do have the tendency to memorize, and especially if they're in a class where that works, so they can memorize and they know what's going to be on the test and they're able to flow through. What happens when you start taking standardized tests, it's not based on memory, it's based on knowledge. And that is a huge difference. So we want parents to understand that just because the child is making or has a grade point average 3.5, we've seen children with 4 point and above, and then they're not able to make the minimum score for TOPS, which is a 20. That means that there's something there that isn't quite fitting, and what we need to do is to make sure that we find out what those deficiencies are so we can get them to the point that they are able to do excellent with that ACT and go on so their lives are fulfilled.
That's right. Craig, Bobby, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to always keep in mind, especially our great state of Louisiana, many of us that are very proud of our state, we have to realize that we have to take a proactive approach to truly change things. And I'm a firm believer that the talent that exists in this state is not just talent. There's a lot of very smart people in this state, and we can drive our youth to become one of the smartest states here in the United States of America. Don't forget, that's 855-577-3722. If you'd like to be a part of this program, because these folks are really giving information and an infrastructure to increase our state in the terms of education. Make sure you be a part of that. Once again, you can go to www.actprepcamp.com. That's www.actprepcamp.com. I'm Brian Herzog. I've been your host for today's show. Can't wait to see you on the very next edition of BRB Network TV, the Baton Rouge Business Network. See you next time.